And oh, I'm going to hit the go live button now on Facebook. You let me know when it comes up. And we should be live on Twitch at this point. Okay. Okay, I'm testing for audio. Starting early if you are already on Twitch. Hello. And if you're watching a video, 3 minutes before we really start, so you can fast forward 3 minutes if you are watching the recording of this. Otherwise, we just hang out and talk. No more fingernails. So just double checking technology before we get started. Got 2 more minutes. Let's see. Make sure I have everything we need. Just about. Okay. So it looks like I'm good on both. So we'll start in about 2 minutes. We can talk about what? What are we talking about, honey? Talking about what's coming up this week, this month. Yeah, Labyrinth. Step-by-step surprise. Labyrinth is happening. And on Wednesday, we're formulating for what else? Oh, probably pull out the books, talk about the book. I haven't talked about the book in 2 weeks. So, gotta keep mentioning this stuff. Make sure the pickle pot's on. Pickle pot is on. Okay. So, hi back out there. So, still a nice day out, I think. It's becoming a little more overcast. I think we're going to get rain here pretty soon. I don't know. But we're not going hiking. We have things to do today. Adulting things. Alright. How many inches is this? Yep, we're making a chain today. Okay, 1 more minute before we start. This is 6 inches. Yep. Just occurred to me, I think the instructions are wrong that I posted. I'm gonna have to take a look. And 8 squared. Let's see. Yup. Pretty sure I'm wrong. I did. I posted the wrong instructions. Oops. Okay, hold on. Almost there. Okay, it's 1 o'clock. We should probably get started, huh? Andy's telling me it's 1 o'clock, so we should start. All right. So, hi everyone. Today is Monday, July 13th, week 17 of Q Talk Live. Been doing this for quite a while and pretty excited. Coming to you live from Ohio, Northeast Ohio. Weather's beautiful outside, so I hope everyone's enjoying it, or at least getting some the same kind of weather we're getting, although it's been hot last weekend. We did enjoy it. So what is today? Today is Minimal Metal Monday, which are all projects complimentary to the book. Yep, Minimal Metal Jewelry that you can find on our website. You can even get it signed on our website. Woohoo! But on every Monday, we're doing projects that are based on basically 16 gauge and 18 gauge wire and some jump rings. So thanks for hanging out. We're going to go through the project today, and it's a fairly simple project, but I love it. I think it's a lot of fun, and it's, you know, it's intricate just enough, right? So there we have it. So what I'm going to go through everything that you need, and as you can see, if you've been watching, the workbench is a little bit different today. I decided to put it on white because it was really hard to see the work on my brown bench. So I put up some paper so that you can see better what we are doing. In any case, all of the instructions are available for download. That's one way that you can show your support for what we're doing. And if you like the project, then you can also have a written instruction. It is available at theurbanbeater.com, and all of the tools that you see are also available at theurbanbeater.com, and it is in the details on the Q Talk Facebook page, but not the Twitch page because I still haven't figured out how to make it like evident there. But anyway, it is what it is. If you're watching, we are broadcasting on Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope. And what we're finding, just sharing here, is if you're not familiar with Twitch, go to twitch.tv and you can find me under QFomGray. But the resolution there is a little bit better, so might be a good place to watch if you're having a hard time watching on Facebook, because Facebook does bring down the resolution so that they can accommodate everybody. Anyway, so and you can show your support there on Twitch by subscribing to my channel, and I appreciate everybody so far who has subscribed. Okay, no further ado here, we're going to jump into the tools. What are you going to need today? Pretty basic tools: a chasing hammer, a bench block. We're going to do very little of it, but you will need it at some point for the clasp. Okay, a multi-looping pliers is going to be really helpful, although you can use a dowel rod. We're going to be using the 8mm section of the multi-looping pliers, so that is just above the 1/4 inch, but still smaller than 3/8. So what does that make it? That's not 7/16. I can't remember what it is, but anyway, so it's in between there. But we like this plier because it has so many different sizes on there, and it's really functional. So, and you'll notice I've been using it a lot lately. A pair of chain nose pliers. Here I have a pair of bent nose pliers, which is going to come in really handy, but a plain old chain nose is going to work for you too. Then I also, in addition to the multi-looping plier, I have a pair of round nose pliers. You know, I like to have them both on hand because they have different functions and they'll come into play along the way, so I keep these handy too. A pair of really good cutters. I have the Lindstrom Ultra Flush, because you know what, for a few dollars more, why not just have an Ultra Flush? A ruler is going to be helpful also, and a file of some sort. Here I'm just using a needle file, but you can use a student file, and if you want to, you can even use a nail file. We're just filing the ends of the wire, so it's not going to take much to get there. The materials you'll need today is you're going to need a lot of wire, because each one of these links is going to take about 4.5 inches to make happen. So and you'll need somewhere between 7 and 8 units to complete your bracelet. Okay, and then you'll need a little bit of, so that's 18 gauge wire. I'm working in copper, but you can definitely do this in silver or brass if you want to. I don't think I would use fine silver here, so you can so you can because it's too soft. Okay, so let's stick to sterling silver. And okay, I see here a note. I switch water glasses. Oh, anyway, I thought you guys were talking about glasses. I just realized I don't have glasses on. Oops, that's going to come into play sooner or later here. Okay, anyway, you're going to need about 3 inches of 16 gauge wire and some 5mm 19 gauge jump rings. 5mm OD is what I use a lot. If you don't have 19 gauge, that's okay. I've gotten complaints about the 19 gauge. You can definitely use 18 gauge, but I would not use 20 gauge because it's a little too thin. Okay, so let's get started. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to make this link like 3 or 4 times today because you're going to want to see it. It's a bit complex and you're probably going to want to get the instructions because I do have it diagrammed out there. And heck, even yesterday, so I was on Twitch yesterday, just, you know, playing around with it and practicing to make sure that I was ready for today. And even then I had to do it, I want to say I did it like twice before I even got there, and I already made one of these. Granted, it was a month ago at this point, but so the diagram will be helpful if you like this chain. Okay, so here I'm just cutting 3 pieces at 4.5 inches just to get started. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and anneal the wire because it will make life a lot easier. We're doing a lot of tight bends and it's just a lot easier to have it nice and annealed. Okay, let me put my stuff away so I don't burn anything. Oops. Okay, I have my pickle pot to the side and I also have my quench bowl to the side. All right. So here I'm just going to take the wire and I'm just going to heat it gently until it turns colors. Okay, so that's one. Quench it nicely. You'll want to pickle that, although I'm not going to pickle that because it's easier for you to see a dark piece of wire than it is to see this bright copper here. But I would go ahead and pickle it, okay, and then clean it with some steel wool. That way it'll make the cleaning process later much easier. It's easier to clean a whole piece of wire than it is these little intricate parts, right? It is 16, I'm sorry, yeah, I did that wrong on Facebook now that I'm thinking about it. Maybe Andy can go back and change that. This is 18 gauge is what I'm using. However, you can use 16 if you want a bolder look. And you can use 20 gauge if you want something a little bit more delicate. So if you use 20 gauge though, you're going to make this a lot smaller or else it's going to be way too thin. Okay, so there everything is quenched and annealed. So again, annealing is just a process of heating wire or metal to open up those molecules to make it more malleable. Okay. Okay, so Andy can't change Facebook in mid-video, and so I'll change that. I'll update that later. Sorry, it was late. I'm feeling a little like I got way too much going on here. So, oh, the other thing, if you were watching Twitch yesterday, so you would know this, but if you had missed Twitch yesterday, look what we did. So as promised, this was last week's failure project that I finally got together, is the pinwheel. I added a stone to it right in the middle, and what I did was I soldered the tube onto a tiny little disc, and then I soldered that to the wire on the back side. So it was pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with it. It does make a little cute little statement. Okay, so here we go. You have your wire. You'll need a Sharpie because we're going to mark this in half. We were at 4.5, so we'll mark this at 2.25. And I'm going to go ahead and mark all of the wires in half. I'm going to straighten it out a little bit with my fingers. I don't have to get too crazy because we're doing a lot of bending and torquing anyway, so it doesn't matter. Ugh. Don't like these glasses. Okay, so here we are. Pull out your multi-looping pliers, and you have the center. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit more. I think you can see better if I do that. There we go. Much better. Okay, so I'm going to, you see, there's my center mark right there. Okay, and I'm going to bend this around just like so. Actually, I really do need these glasses. Wee. Okay, so bend this around. You see? So there's my half mark. Okay, hold on, I need a little bit more assistance here with seeing what I'm doing. Okay, there we go. And then I'm going to take this out and I'm going to move this over and I'm going to bend this around. Oops, wrong direction. See? I'm telling you, I get confused. Bend this around and I'm going in the opposite direction. Do you see that? The middle is still right here. And I'm going to pull this around like so and bend it down. You see? So my middle line is still in between these two wires. Okay? Both of these wires, here's the key, both of these wires are on top. Can you see that? And not on the bottom. But they're going in different directions. So I'm calling them legs because I can. Alright, so then I'm going to take out my chain nose plier and I'm going to bend this. around the back, bend one of the sides around the back towards the front. And then I'll take the other one and I'll do the same thing, bend it around the back towards the front. But now I'm ending up on the opposite side. So what was up here is now down here and vice versa. Okay? And then again, whatever tool is going to make this easier for you, I'm going to pull this in. Can you see that? I'm pulling it in tight in the middle there. Let me move that out of the way so you can see better. And again, I'll do this a couple times because I know it's a bit of a hat trick here. So I'm going to pull this around right over, and then this one gets pulled like that. You see, so now it's sort of crisscrossing. Okay? And I'm going to use my pliers like so. And I like the bent nose right in here so I can get into those little spaces. So you can see it's doubled up. Okay? Very simply, pull out my round nose at this point and make my churn. Just bring it around just like that. And if you didn't do this evenly, one of these might be longer than the other. Just snip it off. And I'm going to find out very quickly that, see, this one clearly is longer than the bottom one. So I'm just going to snip it. And bend it around. And it's still feeling a little long, so I'm going to snip it again. Okay. And there it is. That's done. Before you close it all the way, you might want to pull out a file and get in here and just file that just a little bit. I'm going to open that up again. And just file that end just a little bit, okay? Not so easy, but doable. Alright. If you are happy with the length and you know that your length is good, you can file it before you churn it. But I like to churn it to make sure it's nice and even before I file it. Okay. So there we are. Let's do it again. Okay. So again, we're using the second to largest loop, and I have the middle there, and I'm just going to bring this around. Okay, like so. You can see that nice and even, like so. And then I'm going to put this in here. I have to think about it. I always have to think about this. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to go in the opposite direction because this one's going this way, so this one has to go that way. Oops. Bring it around. I'm being really awkward about this today, sorry. You see that? So bring it together because I want it to be a little bit closer in between. You see, I have a little bit of a gap in between there. So I'm going to bring this a little bit closer in, just in my multi-looping plier, and just churn it down like so, and tighten this up. Because I like what I'm calling the knot in the middle. I like that to be really nice and tight. Okay, there we are. So now we're going to wrap this around. Okay, so we're going to bring this around the back side. And remember, this one was on top, it's going to end up on the bottom, right? And I'm holding it firm with my pliers. And if you can't get it, pinch it down, just like that. Okay. And then same thing here with this one. Is I'm going to bring it around, and I'm going to end up over here, opposite side. So you can see that my bent nose allows me to get inside there, and you see, and this comes around over the top, and we're going to pinch that down again. I'm going to tighten that up. You can see how these bent nose come really handy for something like this. And over again. And you see where I'm bending on the inside, just like that. And over the center. Okay. And I also like to give it a little squeeze in the middle. Sort of tightens everything up. Make sure it's nice and flat. I can already see that my two legs are different sizes. I can go ahead and trim it to be the same size. If you want to be very anal retentive about it, then pull out a ruler. Okay. Again, you can go ahead and file here if you're comfortable with the size of your legs of the wire. Just file it a little bit. If you have a cup burr, that works really well here too. We just want to take off some of the burrs. Alright. And then now we're just going to bend this wire down. Mine's a little torqued. I don't know if you can see that. You see it's a little torqued. I'm going to flatten it just by putting it in my chain nose and flattening it. This is why we use our tools. Okay, and then here, what you're going to do is you're going to take this and bend it, bend it, bend it, bend it, like so. You see? Bend it to the middle, just like that. And we'll do it again on the other side. Again, whatever it takes, right? So I think you can see what I'm doing there. Just bend it, like so. You can leave that slightly open, but if you're afraid that it is going to catch, bring it really tight over, just like that. Okay. There we have another one. All right, should we do it one more time? Third time's a charm, right? You're getting it. Okay. Yes, you can absolutely re-anneal if you want to. If you're finding that once you've bent it over and it's too hard for you to work with, absolutely. You can totally do that. And yes, you can flatten the links. In fact, I'm going to do that here in a minute. Alright, so let's see. I lost track of where it was. Okay, so again, the middle is right there. And we're just gonna bring this down, or bring this around. You can bring it either over the top or under. It doesn't matter, just as long as you're consistent about it, right? So just bringing that around. And then I'm gonna go, oops. Why can I never think about this? Okay, there we are. So now I'm gonna go this way and go the opposite way. Just bend it around like so towards the middle. And I like to have my mark, my middle mark, right between the wires. That way I know that I'm even, right? Just going to tighten that up just a little bit more because I just like that gap in the middle tight, just like so. Okay? Alright. So now we'll take out our pliers again. Take this one, and I'm holding firm. Okay, if you don't hold this firm, all these wires are just going to be like flailing all over the place. I'm going to bend it straight down and bring it around the back side. And if you're having a hard time with that, put this on the back like so and pinch it. See? So now you go to the other one and do the same thing. We're going to bend it around. Yes, it does crisscross. The question was, when I go around the middle, does it crisscross? The answer is yes. So then we come back around like so. You see that? And then this one comes back around like so. The key here, how do you know which way you're going? Okay, is right here in the middle. Okay, do you see that? You're following the same line as the first figure 8. Let me see, what do I have that I can point with? Okay. So you see, this is the middle line, and this, your leg is following that line around. So you see on this side, same thing, it's following that around, and that's the key. Okay. So now I'm going to check my legs, make sure they're nice and even. Again, see, I didn't do this very evenly. Again, I'm just going to trim this one. Just a little bit. And I trimmed it a little bit too much. It's okay. And I'm going to straighten this here, like so. File this again if you need to. If you have any sharp edges, make sure you file that down. Again, if you can file after you've made your bend too. It's a little harder to do it then. If you're insecure about your sizing, that's okay. And take this and bend it around. See? Just like so. And do this again this way. I'm trying to do it so you can see what I'm doing here. I know this is hard. Just bend it around. And curl it in. See that? Alright. Okay, so I'm sure you're going to have this. If you notice, my ring here, or my loop here, is not as round and curved as this one. You see, there's two slightly different loops. If you want to get anal retentive about it, here it is. So how am I going to fix that? I'm going to come in here and I'm going to push it up. You see that? And that makes it round. And I'll do the same thing over here. So these are little fixes you can make along the way if you're trying to make certain shapes and whatnot. Okay. And then, if you'll notice, it's not flat. It's sort of sprung up, I guess you could say. I'm just going to push it down like so. And now you have choices, okay? So this is where your chasing hammer comes into play. You can do one of two things. If you like your wires round, you just leave it like so, and let's just flatten it. Because you want this to lay flat, and I'm using my leather mallet to do that. Okay? But if you like the hammered look, you can definitely take out your chasing hammer and chase it. Just like so. And this would be even more pronounced if you did this with 16 gauge. If you were using the 20 gauge, I'm not so sure I'd be hammering this at all. And if you were doing the 20 gauge, I would end up with, this is, let's see, about 3/4 of an inch. Yep, this is about 3/4 of an inch. I would probably do these in about a 5/8 or 1/2 inch units if you're using 20 gauge. Just to let you know that. And you'll probably end up with a 1 inch piece if you were using the 16 gauge, right? So here I'm just going to hammer the rest of these. So I think that answers your question if you can hammer it. This is a personal preference. I'm going to go ahead and throw these in the pickle and then show it to you again so you can see the difference, because I don't think you can see that much of a difference in the images here. Okay. So maybe if I pickle it, you'll be able to see it better. Okay. Then comes your clasp. On this one, I just did a simple hook, but I sort of wanted to mimic the link a little bit with my twist. Okay. So I'm going to anneal this too. Let me set things aside. And we're just going to anneal this really quickly. Okay. We're heating it up till it starts changing colors. No big deal. We're not melting anything. And you can do the same thing here for whether it's brass or silver. So again, on this project, I would definitely be doing sterling silver and not fine silver, because fine silver I think is going to be um, too soft for this. So you could ball the wire. Actually, that's a really good question. The question was, before I make the last loops, could I ball the wire? Yeah, you could. And you know, it'd be a lot easier is if you had one of these little torches. That would totally make life a lot easier, and then you won't run the risk of melting anything. So that's the risk. But you know what? That's a really good question. If you stick around, after I put all this together, I'm going to try one. Why not? Right? We have a little bit of time. This is going really quickly. So here, on one end of this 16 gauge, remember this is about 3 inches, right? I'm going to go ahead and file it right now because it's easier. And then I'm going to take out my multi-looping plier again, and I'm using the largest loop just because I liked it. You can go smaller if you want. If this is too big for you, then go ahead and do that. And okay, I say just because I like it, now I don't like it anymore. I'm gonna go smaller. I'm gonna go to that second largest size. Okay, there we go. Okay. Yes, I brought it all the way down, even though it's going to be my clasp, because it's going to open up again here in a second. And we're going to open it up like so. And then on the other end, see, I always go around. Doesn't matter what tools. I'm just going to pick the one that works the best. So I'm going to bring this around, and we're going to go to the smaller one. Just bring this all the way around, like so. And just start wrapping it. Okay? So I brought the loop around. I'm going in an S motion, so it's going in the opposite direction at this point. I'm going to grab this with my chain nose to give it some stability instead of holding it with my hands because it's so small. And then with another pair of pliers, I'm going to pull this really hard. It's 16 gauge, so it's going to take a bit of strength. If you need to anneal, like someone asked, go ahead and anneal it again as you need it. But I just wrapped it around a couple times. You can go around as many times as you want. And you know what? I'm just going to finish out the wire by bringing it around again. And notice how I'm just going to tuck that wire right in there with my bent nose. Okay. Okay, so this is still too tight, which is fine. I'm going to go ahead and hammer it. You do want to hammer the shoulder because this is considered a tension set and you don't want the wires to pull apart when you're wearing it. So this will work hard in it nicely. So I am flattening it, and notice how it's opening up. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. See, can you see that? There it is. It's opening up. But I'm probably going to have to snip this. You don't want to make this so flat that that you weaken the wire, okay? But it is a little bit small, so I'll just snip it. And look, there's my clasp. And again, you want to make sure that you file that so that you remove any sharp edges. Like so. Okay. You see? And then what's going to happen is you'll just use that last link as a clasp, just like so. So you want this opening just big enough for a loop to pass through. You don't want it so big that it's going to fall apart. Okay, so there that is. We have several links here. Once you have your links, you'll go ahead and just attach them. So you need somewhere between 7 and 8 links, because don't forget you also have length in your clasp. Okay, so using 2 pairs of pliers, we're going to swing those open and slip them in. And we're just going to daisy chain it. And remember, when you're opening jump rings, you pull them apart. You don't pry them apart. Okay? This way you won't weaken your jump rings. want to make sure that you add your clasp to the end, of course. And if you're in between sizes, and if by adding one link it gets too long, add extra jump rings before you add the clasp, okay? And that will settle that. There we go. There we go. Do you need to solder the jump rings? No, but you can. There you go. Okay, let's pull the other ones out of the pickle. See what it looks like. Ouch. It's a little hot today. Okay. Out of the pickle. Make sure that you rinse anything that's coming out of the pickle. Here we go. Okay. Okay, so let's see if you can see the difference. Still sort of challenging here. Maybe you can see it better on here. But this one was hammered, and this one was hammered. This one was not hammered. I don't know. You can barely see the difference on the images, unfortunately. I think that's where we are. But it does have a little bit of a texture. Depends on how you hammer, but it does have a little bit of texture. I wouldn't be adding like a ton of texture to this because it'll weaken the wire. However, if you're using 16 gauge wire, then you can add a little bit more texture because you've got a little more bulk there. And heck, you can even go to 14 gauge if you want a really bold look. Speaking of bold look, yeah, check that out, right? I call this my Sully ring, but it's not. It's actually called the Duet ring. That's coming up in January with Sully. So it's part PMC, part fabrication. She and I are working together to do that project. And that great piece of kyanite. Anyway, okay, so I'm going to keep linking these together, and then you'll see we're just about done. And I'm going to do one with the balls on the end here in just a minute. Alright. So obviously these here were not pickled, and these were. And one more to go. And you'll just do this until you get your length. So in the end, I'll end up pickling this, and then I'll liver sulfur it, just to make them all the same. Okay, there it is. Now you see what it looks like. You can definitely heat patina this to get the funky colors. No big deal. Alright, so that's it. Straightforward. Let's do another one with the balls on the ends and see if that works. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 with the clasp gets me a 6. Oops, you can't see that. Sorry. Okay, so 6 with the clasp gets me a 6-inch bracelet. So you'll need at least 7 to get to a 7-inch bracelet. If you're a little bit bigger, then you can go to 8. Alright, so I'm going to do one more, and to query that question of, can we make balls on the ends of that? Perhaps. Okay, so we'll cut this. Actually, I'm going to cut 2 of these because I think it'll be a lot easier to use my little baby torch to do it. And I want to give it a whirl. Okay, so again, 4.5 inches on these. And you know what? If we're going to make balls on the end, I guess I'm going to have to go to 5 inches. Okay, so this one I'm going to go to 5 inches. And this one, make little baby balls, and I'll use a little tiny torch on that. But I feel like I need 5 inches to get to using the big torch, the regular butane torch to do that. Okay, I'm going to mark this one at 2.5, 2.5, and I'll mark this one at 2.25 because that's sort of my halfway point there. second to largest loop. Once again. Pull this around. Like so. Remember making sure that both wires are working from the top. And this one goes around this way. That one goes this way, this one goes the other way. See, in opposite directions, once again, like so. I did not anneal it. I'm going to suffer for that here in a moment because I forgot. That's okay. You can anneal it at any point. Let's see how much I suffer with it. Well, I already know. I was testing this yesterday on Twitch. I know I'm going to suffer for this. Okay, so I'm going to, what I'm doing is I'm production lining it right now. So I'm doing the same step on each one as I go. There we go. And there we go. Okay, there's a 2. I'm going to anneal this now because the next bend is so tight, it's going to want to be annealed. Okay. Okay. Okay, so this one is my 5-inch one. I'm going to bend this around again. I'm going to bend this around to the opposite side. Bend, oops. You see, when you don't brace it, see what happens? It sort of falls apart. So I'm going to hold that there. Now I'm going to bend this around. Didn't do a great annealing job on that. Okay, squeeze it down, crisscross it over. This one, see, it came out of form, so I'm going to adjust it until it's where I want it to be, because I really like it when it follows those lines in the middle. I'm always switching around with my pliers because I'm adjusting to what the wire wants me to do, to whatever's easiest. Okay, so there it is. Let's see this one. So here, because we're going to ball the ends, I want to make sure that it's really even so that my loops are going to be the same. I'm actually going to measure this. So I'm at 1 inch on that side. And see, this one, I'm over 1 inch by almost 1/8. So this one's longer by almost 1/8. I'm going to go ahead and cut it. Because now you don't have, if you're putting a ball on the end, you don't have any room for error, so it has to be exact. Okay, so there's that one. Set that down, and I'm going to go grab the other one, and we'll get it to the same point. Okay, here we are. Once again, bend it around. Hold it firm with your hands. Grab it around like so to make the bend. Okay, and then the other one. Okay, see, it came up, so I'm going to push it down. And haha, went the wrong direction. Okay, this goes over here. Yep. And then this one goes back around to the opposite side, like so. I don't know why I'm struggling with this one. What's going on? Okay, there we are. And bring it over, you see? And then this one gets, moving it down. Bring it over. So again, we're following those 2 lines in the middle. Okay. And now we'll go ahead and make the balls. I'm going to tighten this up. Should be far enough away that there should be no harm done. Alright, I'm going to do it with the 5-inch one on the big torch, and then this little one, this was the 4.5-inch, I'll use the little torch, okay? Let's move that out. And actually I'm going to go ahead and zoom out a little bit at this point, because I'm having a hard time staying in the frame because it's a little too tight. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to hold this up, and then I'm going to hold this like this right over the torch, okay? And you want to be working right at that blue flame. I have the end of the wire right at the blue flame. Until it balls up. And I'm going to go ahead and go for like a 3mm ball. Flip it over, do the other one. It's taking its dear sweet time because it is copper and it is 18 gauge. So you got to make sure that you're hitting it right on the sweet spot. Okay, so there's that. I'm going to quench that, and I'm going to turn on my oxygen concentrator really quick so we can use a small torch. So give me a second since we didn't plan for this. Hold on. Okay, so while we give it a minute to think about working the oxygen concentrator, I like to have it on for a minute before I get it going. I'm going to go ahead and finish up this 5-inch piece, and I'm feeling like it's a little long. Okay, so here we are, and I'm going to bend this. Yeah, it's a little long, but that's okay. It's just a test. But it looks nice. So I'm just going to bend this in. Is it better to go with 16 gauge if you're using fine silver? I would say yes, but again, I don't really recommend the fine silver for this project because it seems a little soft. Okay, so there we are. There it is with the ball. Again, the little loops were a little bit long. I might have trimmed that a little bit more, but that's how I got that. I'll throw it in the pickle. And let's turn on the other torch. Don't think you can see that. Can you see that? Let me turn off the light. Now you can see it. Barely see it. Okay. How nice is this? So we're just going to put it right in there. It's going to happen pretty quickly. There we go. And part of the reason why I wanted it long earlier, because I was just really a little fearful that the torch was so big that it was going to melt something. There we go. So you can see how that works. Pretty quickly, pretty easily. Okay. And we'll bring this in again. Okay. There we are. Take out your round nose and create a loop. And that's it. Alright, I'll throw this in the pickle and I'll show you what the result is here. Here comes the first one. Could be pickled better, but hey, I like this patina. There it is. So there's the first one, where the loop is a little bit bigger in the middle, because all my other loops, just to give a little more definition, I have the other loops a little bit smaller. You see there's a slightly different look to it. Alright. Give another second and I'll show you the other loop. So any questions out there? Pretty simple project today. Straightforward. Gets us to the point. Makes a great bracelet. I put this right up there with the crescendo that I did in the beginning. I think it's really similar to it. It's very feminine. And why is it called 8 squared? Because to me it looks like 2 8s. And I already had one called the figure 8 chain. So we had to go with something different. Anyway, so what's coming up? Step-by-step surprise labyrinth is happening on Wednesday. It's going to be a 3-parter. There is a stone setting to go with it, so if you haven't ordered your kit yet, you still can. And what else is going on? We're still doing the time turner coming up, and then at the end of the month we have Majestic, and of course we have Virtually Ever Crafting for August. I'm almost done with the August schedule. Okay, so this is Majestic at the end of the month going into August. Okay, so anyway, so I have almost all of August ready to go, very close, and already into September, so I'm pretty excited. I'm trying to stay ahead of everything. Yeah, oh yeah, another thing we're doing in August, I think we have a consensus. First week of August, instead of doing a step-by-step surprise on that Wednesday, we're going to do a touchless door opener. I thought that might be fun. Since, you know, this is where we are, and it would be nice to have one of those, and we don't have to worry about opening doors anymore. And sometimes you do have to go into some funky bathroom, you don't want to touch the door, right? So anyway, so that's what we're gonna do. And here's the one with the 4.5 inch wire. This is the one with the 5-inch wire. So you can see a slight bit of a difference in that, you know, it had a little more room and whatnot. So I would probably still stick with the 4.5 inch if you want to make the balls. I don't see a problem with that. And then there's a little bit less trimming and whatnot, but I like the 4.5 inch better personally. There it is. Okay. So we really appreciate everyone being here, and appreciate everyone who's starting to share all of the videos and our posts, because this is the only way we're going to make it. We need to get the word out and keep this going, or to keep this going, we got to get the word out and get those people watching and doing and whatnot. In any case, don't forget Virtually Ever Crafting. We're still registering for that. And what else? It's Monday. It's a good start to the week. There was no solder failure today. You know, I suppose I could have soldered those jump rings for you, but we're doing good, so I'm gonna just move on. You should know how to solder the jump rings anyway, and if you don't, come back in the next week or so. I'll be soldering jump rings again. I'm sure of it. Anyway, okay, so that's it for today. That was a quickie, right? A lot quicker than last Monday. And we will see you on Wednesday at 1:30 for step-by-step surprise lab. I'm sorry, not 1:30, 1 o'clock. Step-by-step surprise labyrinth on Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope. Oh, one more question before I go. Did I ball the end of the class? Actually, I didn't, but you can. You absolutely can. You know, it was just sort of a design choice, because at the time I didn't make any balls on anything else, so I kept it so that it is the same. But if you were to do the ones with the little balls, I would definitely ball the end of the clasp just to make it really cohesive and make it look intentional. Anyway, so glad you guys are enjoying it. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for coming by and continuing to like it. I'm starting to run out of ideas, I think. I say that. I'm into September. I'm going. We're going to keep this going. All right. I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Goodbye.